Welcome, students, to our final lesson on the plot of Shakespeare's Macbeth. In today's lesson, we will explore Act 5's dramatic plot, and then analyse Macbeth's and Lady Macbeth's tragic fates. Next, we will consider the circular structure of Macbeth's tragedy. Finally, we'll examine the symbolic meaning of Malcolm's rightful claim to the throne. Let's begin. Act 5 opens in Dunsinane, inside the king's palace, where we witness Lady Macbeth's mind unravelling due to guilt and paranoia from previous evil actions. We see her sleepwalking, and she is fixated with the murders of Lady Macduff and Banquo, while imagining blood on her hands that she can't wash off. In Scene 2, the Scottish lords refer to Macbeth as a tyrant when discussing the approaching English army seeking to overthrow Macbeth. However, Macbeth remains fearless despite the approaching army because the witch's prophecy declared him safe from harm by any man born from a woman. In Scene 3, Macbeth marches into Dunsinane's hall, accompanied by a doctor and his entourage. He proudly proclaims his invincibility against both the English army and Malcolm. This is because he believes no one born of woman can hurt him, and his reign is safe until Birnam Wood moves to Dunsinane, like the prophecies suggested. His servant informs him that 10,000 English soldiers are coming towards the castle to oppose him. Despite the battle being some time away, Macbeth insists on preparing his armour. The doctor shares that Lady Macbeth is unable to find peace due to her intense delusions, to which Macbeth orders him to find a cure. In Scene 4, Malcolm, Seward and their allies use trees from Birnam Wood as camouflage, a clever strategy leading to the illusion that the forest is advancing towards Dunsinane. Lady Macbeth's death is a significant point in the play, marking both a climax and culmination. The once strong and ambitious woman who spurred her husband to commit regicide is driven to madness by guilt and fear. Finally, unable to bear the burden of her crimes, she takes her own life, leaving Macbeth to deal with the dire consequences of the dangerous path they both embarked on. Her death thus punctuates the tragic trajectory of the Macbeths, leaving Macbeth alone and lost, teetering on the edge of his sanity and his unfulfilled ambitions. After Lady Macbeth's death, Macbeth reflects on life's futility. This sense of despair deepens with the news of Birnam Wood's perceived movement, kicking off the battle outside the castle. Macbeth, armed with misguided confidence from the born of a woman prophecy, fights courageously and even kills Seward's son. However, Macduff has a personal agenda to settle with Macbeth. When they finally meet, a significant revelation occurs. Macduff reveals that he wasn't born naturally, but rather by caesarean section. This means he's not technically born of a woman, bending the witch's prediction and leaving Macbeth vulnerable. As Malcolm and Seward secure the castle, Macduff comes forward with Macbeth's head, affirming Malcolm is now the rightful king of Scotland. The play closes on a hopeful note, with Malcolm inviting everyone to his coronation, where he will be crowned the rightful king of Scotland. Now let's look at some analysis. The closing act of Macbeth is a turbulent ride towards a dramatic end. It contrasts sharp emotional despair with intense, brutal battlefield scenes. Lady Macbeth's nighttime ramblings and guilty hallucinations signify her mental breakdown, a clear sign of the destructive nature of their ambitious actions. Her eventual suicide is a poignant moment for the audience, highlighting the tragic cost of unchecked ambition. As Lady Macbeth's strength crumbles, the audience witnesses the culmination of guilt and the heavy burden of her deeds. This contrasts with Macbeth's battlefield fervour, where his desperation showcases a different response to their shared guilt. Introduced at the beginning of the play as a noble general from the battlefield, Macbeth's transformation into a tyrannical ruler illustrates a tragic circle, culminating in his death on the very battlefield that once celebrated his nobility. The tragedy of Macbeth is not just the downfall of a king, but also the erosion of a man who loses his humanity to ambition. Macbeth's death restores moral sanity in Scotland, symbolised by Malcolm's rightful claim to the throne. This restoration of moral sanity and Malcolm's ascension signify a renewal of hope and the beginning of a healing process for a land ravaged by tyranny and bloodshed. Malcolm's invitation for all to attend his coronation is a call for unity and a gesture of reconciliation, offering a path forward together from the chaos Macbeth's reign inflicted. That concludes our lessons on the plot of Macbeth. In this final act, we uncovered how Lady Macbeth's guilt drives her to madness, leading to her tragic downfall, while Macbeth, overconfident due to the witch's prophecy, faces his inevitable defeat as the English army advances. Ultimately, Macbeth is slain by Macduff, who was not born of a woman, fulfilling the prophecy and restoring order as Malcolm becomes king. In this lesson, we analyse the tragic downfall of the Macbeths, where Lady Macbeth is consumed by her guilt, while Macbeth channels his remorse to survive. We then considered the tragic circular structure, where Macbeth transforms from a noble soldier to a tyrannical ruler that dies on the very battlefield that once celebrated his nobility. Finally, we discussed the symbolism of how moral order is restored in Scotland after Malcolm ascends as king. Congratulations on reaching the end of the plot of Macbeth! Watch the rest of the GCSE English Literature course at Sophos Education.